All right. Broadcasting. Somebody kick it off.
Dumpster.
Come on, dumpster fire.
You're listening to PHP Ugly. I'm Tom Rideout. With me, as always, John Congdon.
Did you forget the episode number? Probably.
Episode number 111?
12.
12?
Come on.
12.
Good start to the show.
And also, always with us, but never all the way with us, Eric Van Johnson.
Hello. It's episode 112, as we say in the biz. I don't know.
Why
I
do we
just
say
made
that
that
in the
up.
biz?
I have no idea. I have no
I
idea
don't know
why I
what-
just said that.
I don't know what biz we're in anymore.
Yeah, way to get us kicked out of the biz.
No kidding.
What's been going on, guys?
How you guys doing? I've been
Happy July 5th. Everybody make it out of the 4th of July with all 10 fingers and toes. That's an
Yes,
accomplishment.
because fireworks are illegal here in California.
This is true.
At
Yeah.
least in Southern California.
Oddly enough, with our friends south of the border, it's not that hard to obtain fireworks, but yes, you're right.
It's
Fireworks
easy here too,
in-
but here in Colorado Springs, we have a fire that's burning 100,000 acres, and we're in a drought, and it's awful. And so all the fireworks events were canceled.
Why did you even move to Colorado? You could have that here, Thomas. That's like normal for us.
Yeah, I know. No,
Didn't
no
that
idea.
happen here a couple years ago where they canceled all the fireworks shows?
It
During
wasn't
our big drought.
surprising.
Yeah.
Well, here,
Yeah.
the best part is that there was one fireworks show that was still scheduled to go on, but was canceled due to torrential rain.
So we do have the added benefit of having the ocean that a lot of the fireworks will go off the coast or into the bay or harbor and go off. So I doubt we've ever had a year where we've had no fireworks in San Diego, but probably the inland areas were pretty restricted. I've actually stopped going to fireworks. I don't know about you guys, but it stopped being enjoyable to me.
I took my 4-year-old for the first time last night. He absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
He had his headphones on because he's got a whole thing with noise and things being too loud. But at the end, he was like, "That was so cool."
I should probably go again. It's been years for me. We stopped going with the kids. The crowds just got out of control, and it really got to be a thing here in Southern California and here in San Diego where you had to plan on basically going somewhere at 6 o'clock in the morning and plan on being there almost 24 hours to enjoy the fireworks. By the time the fireworks would go off at like 9 p.m. and you actually got out of what area you're in, it just got to be too much.
Yeah,
So-
it was nightmarish. Now, one of the interesting things I've seen this year, though, is drone shows replacing fireworks.
Mm,
Have you guys seen any of these?
I have
seems
not.
expensive. Well, I've seen the ones on television.
It's companies that have hundreds and hundreds of drones and have them synchronized to.
Didn't they do that at the Olympics?
Yeah.
In the Super Bowl, and yeah.
So it's very interesting. I believe Arizona, which was pretty much blacked out of all fireworks events because of fire concerns, had drone shows all over the place. And I've seen
So
some
great.
footage of it. It's pretty great.
Another industry going out of business because of technology.
Automation specifically.
Robots are taking over the world.
Hey, I'm a big fan of that.
Thomas, you guys have been dealing with a lot of heat out there, right? I mean, what's it been? Has it gotten up to like what 105 or?
In my area, we had 4 or 5 days of over 100 heat.
Mhm.
And Colorado Springs being like in the valley here, we get really bizarre weather. So the heat peaks at like 6 o'clock, not at noon. And
yeah,
it's
we're
awful.
we're starting to warm up out here. It's supposed to get over 100 this weekend, but I don't know. We'll see if that actually happens. But yeah, it's warming up out here pretty quickly.
Yeah, where I play Ultimate, it hit 80 today, and tomorrow it's supposed to be a little over 90. But I play closer to the coast. But still, running around in that kind of heat is lots of fun. "Quote unquote" fun.
Air quotes for our audio podcast listeners.
Yes. Hence me saying "quote unquote." Bastards.
We don't need to explain the 4th joke. We don't need to explain the 4th of July, do we, to our international listeners? I mean, it's like, I know it's a U.S. thing, but everybody kind of understands what it is, right?
Yeah.
I would assume for the most part.
It's like Bastille Day or any of those others.
Cinco de Mayo?
No, not Cinco de Mayo.
It's when Will Smith saved us from the aliens, Yeah.
That
just
day.
us, like the whole world.
St. Patrick's Day. I don't know.
Independence Day. People get the concept of Independence Day. I hope.
Which what's funny is that as Americans, we're not taught how it all happened. So I was just sort of surfing around on Reddit and found a joke about how Independence Day started and why the taxes were being raised on American goods. Because the British had just successfully defended American colonies during the 7 Years' War and needed to recoup losses. And we were like, thanks, but also peace, sucker.
Yes. It's always so ironic that it was such I mean, it's really a holiday for tyranny, right? It's a holiday of treason. It's a holiday.
Better administration for it.
I know. And now you mention those words, and it's just like, you're anti-American. It's like, but we literally celebrate that. We have a funny history. We forget where we came from and why we're here.
So you guys are makers, Eric, more so than John. But Eric, you have a thing for Raspberry Pis and Arduinos and stuff like that, don't you?
I do. I enjoy them.
Did you know that those are considered components and not finished goods?
I do know this. I do.
That would make sense, though.
Yeah.
You have to do stuff once you get them.
They're not assembled either.
Right. So unfortunately, that means that there's a new 25% price hike on everything for makers. If you are a maker with using electronics, resistors, capacitors, chips, everything 25% more expensive.
Why is this? 25%?
So this is the craziest thing I've ever heard, and this is political, but it's not political at the same time because it's weird. I don't understand the impetus here, but the Trump tariff that was put into place is a tariff of 25% on incoming components, but no tariff on outgoing finished goods, meaning that anything that is made in America using foreign components and then shipped out again to foreign countries has an effective almost 50% price punishment on it. And Trump announced this and then went to a Foxconn plant, which is one of those companies that manufactures finished goods out of components. And I don't understand. But Moog, the synthesizer company, sent a letter out to all their big customers and basically said, yeah, we don't have long before we are going to be forced to move all of our production out of America because we deal in components.
Wow, that's crazy. I heard something about Harley Davidson moving
Yep, Harley Davidson's going foreign.
But that's because of the tariffs on steel and aluminum, right?
Canadian steel and aluminum because of
Trade
national
wars.
security.
Yeah, national security. Yeah.
I don't understand.
Listen, this isn't a political show. We're not going to get into all that bullshit.
Not doing politics.
Crazy. Side note, Thomas, your mic, however you have it set up, it's like very positional aware. Like you move your head and you're off by a ton. That's much better. Now we can't hear anything. It's a nice, even, muted.
Is this good? Is this better?
Again?
Check.
Yeah, move your head.
Yeah.
Check. Can you hear me well?
Yeah. That's way better.
Yeah.
Way better.
Oh,
that was
perfect.
That was pleasant.
It's beautiful.
All right. So I think the last time we spoke way back in episode 111, man, we're terrible people, John. We had 2 weeks, or no, we didn't have 2 weeks off this show. We only took a week off this show, right? And we still didn't get the other show done.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say that, but I had company in my house for like 2 weeks.
I had company in my house for 3 weeks.
Yeah. So we've kind of been a little busy.
Yeah. But where I was going with this is I was talking about in episode 111, everybody was making fun of me because I just gotten in the new Amazon Alexa Prime TV thing. And I mentioned, I'm like, yeah, I literally hooked it up like hours before the show started and was kind of getting through everything. And I had mentioned, yeah, I'm already not happy with it. All it does is turn the TV on and off. I had this vision that it would interact with my cable box, and it doesn't do that. And turns out it does do that. I just had to set everything up. It not only interacts with the cable box, I can tell it to switch to cable. It'll switch over to cable. I can tell it change channels, things like that. But it also interacts with, interacts is a loose word. It'll also switch over to my Roku, which I have as well. So just for those people out there listening, it does have a lot of these advanced features. I hadn't had enough time to play with it.
So are you happy with it? You think it was a good purchase?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I mean,
is it worth the money? You're not selling me really.
Yeah, I think it was like $89 or 90. Yeah, I think it's like $89 for early Prime people. So yeah, it's worth that. I mean, for me, the newness of it, the newness of having the Echo device has really kind of worn off. So now it's just kind of a utility thing. Having it in the living room to control the television is a nice added feature. It's something I've been looking for. I've been looking at buying those smart remotes. I forget what it's called, but they're super stinking expensive. They're a couple $100 because they tie into the Alexa. And so I've been, I've been thinking about doing that for a while, and ultimately I never ended up doing it. So now that I have that added feature in this one, I'm happy, but I'm not blown away with it. It's just another Echo device. So yeah,
but it's worth a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's worth the money. I mean, if you want to get one for your main area or something that has a television and you want to control your television, then yeah, get it. It kind of works as advertised.
Yeah. Well, I had, like I said, the friends in town, and they're not big tech people. And the whole time he was here, he was controlling the music and loving that. And I'm like, "You're going home and buying one, aren't you?" He goes, "Yeah, probably."
Yeah.
But he was doing the thing where you get up and walk over to it to talk to it. But I think it was because it was mostly because we were outside and he didn't want to be talking loud at 11 o'clock at night, so we'd walk over to talk just to it.
Did you guys hear the new the new Alexa doing creepy things that it's not told to do? story?
No. I thought you had heard of something on this, but I didn't know.
There's a news story on this?
Yeah, apparently somebody was just working around their kitchen and stuff and had TV paused, and out of nowhere their device says, "Every time I close my eyes, all I see is people dying."
What? Why would it say that?
I'm going to guess somebody in another room or whoever has access to the app, you can tell it to say things like that. So from my phone remotely, I can say, Echo, say XYZ, and it will say that on the actual device.
I didn't know that.
That's my guess. Yeah, that's a feature.
Interesting.
What gets me about this is the article says, well, now we just want to permanently disconnect our device. My thought is, why? Like, if that's the thing it's doing that creeped you out, you're going to be horrified when you realize that it's listening to everything you say.
Yeah, some people are weird. I don't know. I got a question for you guys. I like to pose these scenarios, and I have a pretty good track record with my theories. Unlike the kooky, crazy shit that Thomas comes up with. What did I say that? No, didn't mean it.
Hey, the listeners love it.
I've been watching. I watch a lot of streaming gamers. Really, only a couple of streaming gamers, but a lot of Fortnite play, Overwatch when that was big. I don't play video games, but I enjoy watching streamers play them. And it occurred to me that, you know, as podcasters, we have to be careful. We, not us particularly, because we don't play music or anything on ours, but like people who stream coding, I've had it happen to me where I've streamed something from a remote location. There's been music playing in the background. All this stuff happens, and the music industry pounces. And, you know, hey, that's copyrighted. You got to pull that down, blah, blah, blah. There's absolutely no leeway. There's no fair use. There's no, oh, that was playing in the background. You're not trying to make money off that. None of that. If it hears videos, it gets pulled, or if it hears its music, it gets pulled down. What do you think of the theory, or or the possibility of it happening to video games? And my idea being, you have video game streamers out there who are raking in money in the millions right now. Easily, a lot, you know, in the deep six figures. All off these free games like Fortnite, or even the ones that aren't free, like Overwatch. What do you think when do you think it will happen that a company comes in and says, hey, you're streaming our intellectual property, you need to pay us if you're going to stream our game?
That's a good question. But at the same time, they're basically advertising their game for them.
Yeah, and that's been an issue, though.
That
Nintendo did
this as well. That can be said about music as well. Yeah, I'm advertising your music. Why would you pull my video? Go ahead, Thomas.
Nintendo does this. Nintendo has a real problem with videos on YouTube that use Nintendo's content. And so if you're a video game guy, doing Nintendo stuff is a no-no.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah. It's counterintuitive. No one's really sure what's Nintendo's deal is with the whole thing, because they don't try to monetize it some other way. They don't try to turn it around. They just remove it. They just remove lots and lots of stuff. And it isn't clear what their end goal with this is. But the thing with Fortnite is a great example, because it is a free-to-play game, but the company is making over $300 million a month off of it at this point. Mm-hmm. And that's because of streamers. It's because of the popularity of streaming the game. It's not counter to it.
I mean, we should be clear about this. A lot of these things, I feel, make no sense of why they would be in existence. So, for a company like Epic, I think does Fortnite. John, help me out. Rocket League,
Psyonix.
Any of these companies, it to us normal people would seem absolutely absurd for them to start to go after content creators and streamers and say, "Hey, that's our material. That's our copyright. Those are our characters. You can't use that." Seems absolutely absurd. I completely agree with that. Now, I'm sure there's legal departments in each one of those companies that say, "Well, wait a minute, it's really not that absurd." So absurdity aside, do you feel that there's that is inevitably where we will go?
No. I think if a company did do it, because of the gamer community, it would be an instant death knell, because the people who were playing the game and making lots of money off of it would still be allowed to talk. So they would say, guess what Epic just tried to do? Guess who's no longer playing it again? I'm switching over to Paladins. Paladins would boom in popularity. Epic would lose hundreds of millions of dollars, and it would be done again.
Well, that scenario would work if they didn't do it across the board. But I mean, again, it could be like the music industry where they say, "Hey, we all have to stand together on this if we want this to work. If we want to get that payday, we all have to stand together."
Yeah, the game industry does not do that. There's no.
Okay, so again, this exercise doesn't even seem like it's going to be worth it. If we, my point being that if they did, this would be an issue. Now, you don't think it would add anything to it that, let's say Epic, let's say Fortnite, since we're going there, they go to a creator like Ninja, who supposedly is making $1 million or whatever off of his stream now, and they went to Ninja and said, "Hey, you can't stream our stuff anymore for free. We're going to start charging a licensing, but because you're such a big content creator now, instead of getting your money from donations, you'll basically work for Epic. We'll pay you to stream our content."
That does currently get done. So there's a lot of money in the influencers community, and influencers are the YouTubers and the Twitch streamers, and there's a lot of money being moved around to get them to promote stuff.
But you're basically saying they could take this person who's making, you said $1 million a day?
I believe
Thomas?
That can't be right.
That's can't be. Anyway, even if it was $1 million a year, Eric, your point is they go to them and say, you can't do that anymore. We'll pay you $100,000 a year to do this, but you have no access to our content otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, I'm perfectly fine with everybody saying, "Eric, you're insane. That would never happen," despite the fact that it has already happened in other industries.
It could definitely happen.
Yeah.
I don't. You bring up a very good point. I still don't see why people are making $1 million a year or month or day playing video games.
Not day. It's as of a couple months ago, it was $500,000 a month.
Okay. All right. That's still significant. Yeah, that's
now, and that's not including stuff where he's got promotional brands, he's doing sponsored deals, or he's doing announcing for.
So he's doing $6 million a year,
at least.
That's
yeah,
$500,000 a month.
Did you just type 500,000 times 12?
Me?
Yeah.
No. No. History clear. No. But is that? I mean, that can't possibly be right, is it? Is that off donations, or there's no way that could be right?
Yeah, donations, advertisements.
Oh, man,
remember Twitch.
What the hell I'm doing?
Ads. Well, I think he plays something like 6 hours a day or something like that. I mean, it's a full time.
I work 8 hours plus a day, 12 hours a day.
Video game.
It's a full-time job.
No shit, it's a full-time job. That's John's point. We work over 6 hours a day. We don't make quite nearly that much money.
Well, John's also not good at video games.
God, Tom defending it. Oh, calm down, John. He plays video games 6 hours a day. Give the man a break. You're the part of the problem, Thomas.
I think people are too quick to judge stuff like this, where a person is essentially a social media genius. They're working 12-hour days, and part of that is the 6 hours that they're streaming the games, but the other 6 hours, they're doing marketing management, they're doing social media work, they're contacting
That's what I was about to say. It's like there's no way that is sustainable. There's no way that's sustainable for him.
It's not. People burn out of that industry real hard.
Yeah.
I think I could be convinced for $500,000 a month.
I'd do it for $100,000 a month. Come to me, Fortnite. I'll stream your stupid game for $100,000 a month. They have playground mode again, Thomas. When are you and I going to play? When are you going to show me how to play Fortnite? Or you never actually played Fortnite, did you?
No, I have. I dislike it.
Oh. I would say they have playground mode, so I'm actually tempted to give it a shot. But
what is playground mode?
It's a little. They give you a private island and allow you to play with only 4 of your friends, so you can actually learn how to play the game. Right now, it's like trial by fire. You're thrown into a game, and you've got to learn all these different aspects of the game: how to manage your inventory, how to build, what weapons to use, how to use them, all while playing the actual game. And all these stats start to add up against you as far as how good you are and all this. Well, playground mode allows you to get in there. You can learn how to manage your inventory, learn how to build, learn how to shoot without being in an actual game.
That's the thing about Fortnite, is that Fortnite isn't just about running and gunning. Fortnite has this creative, strategic element where you have to build basically
defenses.
Forts. Yeah, you have to build a fort around yourself. And the people who are really good at this, it looks like the system is just automated. Like, it looks like they have a script that just runs and builds a house around them. It's amazing to watch. But it's the part of the game that I don't like.
Oh, really? You don't like that? I like that part of the game. That's the thing.
I like the accuracy of shooting. I like the sort of quick reflexes and patience and stuff. But seeing people play and the skill level that they're at, you just sort of go, well, fuck, never mind then. I mean, they finished the game, so why am I worried?
The thing I like about Fortnite, I don't know, other games might have this. I guess Overwatch has it as well. Is it has an underlying story that's running. So if you follow the Fortnite community, if you follow the gameplay, there's a whole story that's happening in the video game, and it's kind of cool to watch. But yeah,
but if you're just getting dropped into the game, how are you following a story?
You don't. The story occurs completely outside of the game. Comic books, webcomics.
No. No, Fortnite doesn't. Fortnite, the story is happening in the game. So in Fortnite, like the big deal was this rocket that's been sitting on the map finally launched. Before that, even before that, a meteor had crashed on the island. And so there were all these meteor craters that brought these special rocks that let people bounce. But recently, there's been this rocket that's been on the island that everybody's been kind of suspecting, this is going to launch or something's going to happen with it. Well, that's launched and it's ripped the fabric, it's ripped time or something. Nobody really knows what's happened yet, but after it launched, it started teleporting around the island, and now there's this big fracture in the sky where it had made its final teleport. So everybody's got these theories that it's ripped space-time continuum, or nobody really knows.
That's the genius of the absolute genius of Epic is what they've ended up doing on the weekly basis. So when they released this, I mean, it's a real convoluted story, but essentially when they released this, it was a last chance, a last grab at getting money back from a failed game. So Fortnite Battle Royale was what everyone plays, but Fortnite is a standalone single player game that costs $60. And they just sort of said, well, this game is not going to sell. We did our metrics. It's not going to work. So what they released the free version, which was the Battle Royale version. And they had no monetization whatsoever when they launched it. It was just free and out there, and they were just doing it. But their monetization method now is this weekly $5 battle pass where you get loot and experience, and there's a whole progression for your character and a lot of stuff going on. And they've turned around and put all that money they're making, which, like I said earlier, was $330 million a month. And now they're...
Whoa. Who's making $330 million a month?
Epic.
No, they're not.
Yeah. That one I don't have to look up. That one I know for a fact.
Okay, I am gonna have to pull up a little 330.
So they're taking that money, and instead of sitting on it, they're spinning it right back into the game.
$4 billion a year?
Yeah. So they're spinning that back into the game, and the game is incredibly dynamic on a weekly basis. There's something new is happening, some new element of the story is showing up, and it's keeping the player engagement really high. They've just done a spectacular job at spinning this free thing into essentially a non-controversial free-to-play game, which is very difficult to do. They're not doing loot boxes in the same way that a lot of companies are.
Right.
They've created this battle pass system, and the battle pass system got adopted by PUBG and is going to be adopted within a month or so by Psyonix for Rocket League.
Yeah, maybe we need to reach out to Epic about sponsoring Wave PHP. $4 billion a year, man. Holy smokes. That's crazy.
I still want to see that article that says that, because that seems ridiculous.
It's not. It costs me $30 a month, and I don't play.
Huh? What do you mean it costs you $30 a month and you don't play?
I got two kids. I got two kids that want the weekly battle pass. It's $5.
And all the weekly battle pass does is give you like skins and picks and stuff.
It's skins and challenges and additional pinata drops, I guess.
So as of March 21st of this year, so only a few months ago, Epic Games Fortnite is making boatloads of money on in-app purchases, taking in $126 million in the month of February.
Wow, 126. Well, wait a minute. That's way less than what Thomas said.
Well, that was
February.
But still, 100. Even
May was the first month where they made $330 million, and it's just going up.
126 million is absolutely insane,
and it's a free game.
And this is what's great about this industry is whether you're a streamer, whether you're a game company, the creativity of the different ways you can make money off of your platform, whatever you're offering, whether it's entertainment, whether it's a game. It's just, I love the fact that we have this industry full of people who have thought so far outside the box. And, people like Epic who said, listen, we're not going to charge people $40 to buy the game. We're going to give them the game, and we're going to make, $400 from that same person.
That's because they tried selling it and it didn't work.
mean, that's basically the thing. Now it gets more complicated than that because Epic was hired to help develop PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Oh, really?
Right, which is why PUBG ended up suing Epic, because they turned around after finishing their part of that job and released their own Battle Royale game using the same tech that they had developed in helping PlayerUnknown.
Mm-hmm.
But,
okay, all I know is this is not really a game podcast, so we better be making boatloads of money off of this.
You want to talk PHP? I got PHP for you.
You gotta think outside the box, John.
Nope. Don't want to talk your PHP. I want to talk my PHP.
Is it in this card that you have on the Trello board? Because you don't have any cards on the Trello board.
More specifically, I want to talk about Wave PHP because Eric just brought it up. It's been 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks since we've talked. Guess what we've done in those 2 weeks?
What have we done?
From what I can tell, literally nothing.
Nothing at all.
Well, okay, way to bring it all down.
I didn't look. I haven't looked at what you've done.
Well, no, we have released a schedule, so that is out there.
I saw this.
Whether that was intentional or not is left to be remain. The schedule is out there.
Yes, and you only have what 2 or 3 weeks left to buy tickets at the early bird price. So get them now.
I mean, it should be 0 weeks. It should have been last month that was just disabled.
Should have been, yeah. But when I first set up Eventbrite to sell the tickets, I put in July 31st, and I don't know what the legalities would be if I changed that right now, so I'm not going to do it. Wait, no, you told me I had till the 31st. You can't change that. So
I got my hotel. I got my hotel room checked out.
Bahia?
Not according to the spreadsheet I have. Just saying.
Do you have a spreadsheet of my hotel rooms?
Yeah, you might want to check that out.
I have the receipt.
Hey, look, you're on my list.
So, not according to the spreadsheet I haven't looked at in several days, you mean?
Yeah, that one.
Gotcha.
Your confirmation number is R6. No, just kidding. It does start R6.
And there's actually another issue, a good issue. Well, good for us, really, for people who wanting to buy tickets. Is we have a limited amount of tickets, and they are running out. We're getting some. We're finally getting. Well, not finally. But as it gets closer, people are having some interest, and people seem to be buying these tickets in blocks, which I guess shouldn't surprise me. I assume there's a lot of companies that are sending people, and so we get little notifications for 4 tickets are bought, 2 tickets are bought. So it's nice to see those rolling in. But yeah, tickets are finally starting to move, which is nice.
Exactly. Just need to sell the rest of them.
That's good to hear because I know it's been stressful on you guys.
It's still stressful.
Yeah, super stressful.
Yeah. And honestly, the thing we've been talking about, I think I've been pretty open about it on the show, is as much as we appreciate people buying tickets, it's important. The tickets to us doesn't cover the conference. I mean, we don't.
Nowhere near.
We don't. Yeah, we don't even break even with ticket sales. It's sponsors stepping in, which very well may have been a mistake on John and I. Maybe we should have looked at areas that would have allowed us to break even just on ticket sales. But we really wanted to have it somewhere where people got to experience San Diego. It got to be an enjoyable trip. Somewhere where we would have wanted to go had we been going to a conference. So, I mean, we kind of stepped things up a little bit there. But yeah, I mean, we definitely love the fact that people are buying tickets. Somebody's out there wanting to sponsor. Yeah, man, let us know because we are looking for sponsors. We have sponsors coming in. Matter of fact, we have a new one that we will be adding to the site. But always looking for more sponsors.
Haven't added yet.
No, we're waiting for some information.
Yeah, waiting for some information from them so that they can go up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going well. It's going well. WPHP September.
75 days away?
75 days, 10 hours, 11 minutes, and 34 seconds, John.
As of the
32.
time we're recording this.
Yeah. September 19th through the 21st, Mission Bay in San Diego. Come join us. If you're wondering who's speaking, the speakers are all up there with the exception of the keynote speakers have not been announced yet. And if you're interested in what they're talking about, the schedules are fully posted so you can see who's talking where. And I gotta be completely honest. The real value here is the training day. We have some fantastic presenters presenting some great topics on the training day. So I'm looking forward to trying to get in and see some of these talks. We got, I don't know. I mean, we don't, you can go to the site and see. Jessica's doing TDD and BDD. Tim is doing PHP daemons. TJ Miller is doing Docker. And Daniel, our good guy from Longhorn PHP, is going to building a spa with Vue.js.
Yeah, so, I want in on that one.
And actually, the real value, I mean, yeah, there's some awesome presentations going on, but if you don't go to conferences already, you really should be, because the networking is so valuable.
Yeah.
Meeting people in the industry and having people to lean on when you need help.
I mean, honestly, I've gotten kind of to the stage where if I go to a conference, it's probably not to see the talks anymore. There might be one or two talks I'm interested in, but it's more just staying plugged into that network and talking to people and just having. I mean, a lot of times it's the only time you see these other developers in real life, because you're in one part of the country, they're in another part of the country, and everybody converges for this conference. So. Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to it.
Check it out, Wave PHP.
Thomas, now you can talk about your PHP. I'm done with my PHP.
You know what? WordPress really needs?
An upgrade.
It needs to be compiled into .NET.
I was going to say that. Is that a ticket of yours?
God.
I saw this article. Yeah.
This article pisses me off for such a large number of reasons. It gives the whole story, and then it just sort of says, so why would anyone do this? And then they say, well, performance, and then they don't list benchmarks. They don't show in any way how this affects performance. C# extensibility, which if you're working on WordPress, you probably don't really fucking care about. Sourceless distribution, which again, it's still WordPress.
So what can we back up? I don't know how familiar you are with .NET, but what would C# extensibility be exactly? And I mean, the argument can be made again for PHP as well. I mean, you can write extensions for PHP. So what would that be? I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, you nailed it. That's what it is. Is that you can write extensions in C# and .NET
versus C++ and
PHP
and C#.
Okay, all right. That's okay.
I don't mind when a project says when a project says, why would I do this? Because it's a stupid thing to do, and I wanted to try it. Like the Go compiler. Right. There's a PHP Go.
Yeah.
And when asked why, the person who wrote it said, I wanted to see if I could. That's fine. That's totally fine by me. But when you try to say compiling WordPress into .NET is a performance-oriented change, no one believes you or cares. Like, no one's super excited about performance improvements on WordPress running on Windows machines. If you're concerned about performance, you already did two things wrong right there. WordPress Windows machine. And they sort of get to the end of the article, and it just sort of says, so yeah, it's great. It's available on the Peach Pie package, and the comment section just sort of immediately, the first comment is, okay, where's the benchmark?
Yeah, show me the numbers. Yeah. And what kills me is, if there is a performance increase, it's probably like not even noticeable to the human. Oh, there, we saved 3.2 microseconds.
Well, yeah, that's the issue too, is that what they've done with .NET is just wrap the errors. The performance problem with PHP versus .NET is static typing. It's that variables are typed, output is typed, input is typed. That's where the performance comes from. So unless they went through WordPress and statically typed everything in it and then compiled it to C#, there's no way in hell they're getting performance improvements out of it, because now it's just PHP running on top of C# hiding errors. And PHP is moving forward towards being able to compile. It's moving forward towards stricter and stricter typing. The JIT engine is being rewritten. I believe 7.3 Alpha 3 just came out, and you can play around with the new JIT engine there. Like I said, I'm okay with stupid projects, but at least say it's a stupid project.
Yeah.
If you're making a shitty robot, call yourself the queen of shitty robots.
I believe the original poster said that, though, right? Wasn't the original blog post was, why did I do this? Because I'm a .NET developer. I wanted to see if I could do it.
The original post I have here is, why? Because it's awesome. Sometimes a project comes along that is impossibly ambitious and it works.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of what the guy is saying. He's just, he wanted to see if he could do it and did it.
The same could be said for autofellatio.
All right, move on. You brought up.
But you don't like that?
You brought up Simone. I really hope she's okay.
She is.
Simone
is back. She's doing great. She hasn't done any projects lately, but she is definitely posting pictures.
I saw her post just after surgery, and she said she was doing fine. Looking forward to some more videos and projects.
You guys want to explain who she is, since you guys have touched on it so much?
We talked about it in a previous episode, but Simone Gertz is the queen of shitty robots, and she is a hilariously awkward, hilarious person. I've never seen anybody with the energy that she has that's just hilarious. And she
had a tumor on her brain that she had to have surgically removed.
So it was a benign tumor, and the surgery wasn't very risky, but it did carry risks of leaving her blind in the eye above or below where the tumor was, and that was the big concern.
The thing was so big you could see on her face where it was before surgery. Crazy.
Yeah, I'm glad she's doing well. Yeah, I look forward to her making some more videos.
Well, she just started a YouTube Red series right before this happened. That it only has one episode out, but it's amazing. It's creating a vegan deer that she can hunt, so that
I saw that one.
As a vegetarian, she wanted to experience what it was like to be a hunter. And it is bizarre. It is such a crazy video. It's so funny.
So I don't want to share too many details. It wasn't Simone, but one of the people John and I went after to do a keynote for Wave PHP was somebody kind of in that same category, a YouTuber, fairly popular YouTuber. We discovered that they were here in San Diego. This is where they lived, and we're like, wow, what do you think the chances are? Well, we will never know until you ask. And so we go through the channels to ask, and of course we get handed off to a handler, and they're like, "Oh, you're so lucky. That's where they live. No travel costs, no hotel.
We'll give you 50%. Yeah,
yeah.
We'll
50% off the appearance fee. Yeah, off the appearance fee, and it was still like way too much money. I'm like, they
wanted 15 grand for like an hour.
Okay, you're going to say the number. Yeah, it was crazy.
Why not? Why would I not say the number?
Oh my gosh! And I got to be honest, like I was kind of heartbroken because I've been like, oh, this would be so cool. It'd be cute. They can use it in their social media stream, blah blah blah. And they came back with that number. I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
So if anyone wants to give us $7,500 to bring this person as a keynoter, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it was. Oh yeah, it was cool though. It would have been fantastic, but not gonna happen. So I hope that was that was obscure enough to drive everybody crazy.
I'm sure.
I think I know who it is.
Yeah, I think you do, Thomas. Yeah, I will let you know if you know it. But all right.
I have a weird article that I need thoughts on.
Okay.
This guy wrote an article. The title is PHP use associative arrays basically never.
Oh. You don't like that? How that sounds?
So first off, it's clickbait.
Do you have is this one of your cards? I'm not seeing it.
It is. Not. It is not.
It is not. Okay.
It's an article I've been reading because I keep catching it. I keep catching this article just out of the corner of my eye, and I go, that's just, this is bait. This is totally bait.
Did Garfield write this? Yeah, did Larry write this? Yeah.
Krell?
Yeah, this is, so he was huge, or I assume still is huge, in the Drupal community. Matter of fact, he will be.
I was going to say,
no,
I think
actually, is he? He may be.
Nope.
Yeah, he was actually one of the people we were thinking about having present at Wave PHP, but didn't have room for him. Anyways, I'm sorry, Thomas. Your article?
So he's wondering hypothetically which is faster, an associative array containing an array of A and B values, and he's wondering if this is faster or slower than a standard class with A and B properties, a defined object with properties, protected or public. He tests both, or anonymous classes with public properties.
Wow, this is some technical stuff here. And look, he even has the metrics we were just talking about. I have honestly not read this article, so I mean, he has numbers showing. I would have to read through this, to be honest. This is a lot of information.
That's the thing, is it is a lot of information, but then at the same time, it's his test cases using 1 million records, and I believe that you lose a large amount of array-based functionality by doing it this way. Because what he shows is that he gets a 14% improvement in performance using an anonymous class in runtime speed, and in almost every case except for a standard class, he gets a 50% improvement in memory.
Mm-hmm.
So, but to title the article "Never Use Associative Arrays" seems myopic. It seems like, yeah, if you're using 1 million records as an associative array, you're probably doing something wrong to begin with.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So, you know,
he does say basically never
all in memory.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah,
but basically never is different. It isn't much different than never. I mean, it seems hyperbolic because to create an anonymous class every time you want to use an associative array is
especially if it's not going to be 1 million records.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's going to be 5 records, you'll literally spend more time entering in the code for an anonymous class than you will ever save over every iteration of the program ever being created ever. Because on that case, it's going to save you 0.00001 second.
Yeah. I think, I mean, this seems like one of those things. It's a good exercise to kind of go through. Probably really worth the read, but practicality of implementation probably not there.
Well, this is a good exercise for finding a bug in the PHP code internally. When you ask yourself why does an associative array take double the memory of an anonymous class, that's something you look down. That's where you get in the code and you go, okay, well, clearly something's wrong in memory with arrays.
Mm-hmm.
But to say just stop using associative arrays is excessive.
It's so extreme.
It really it's an extreme solution to an indifferent problem.
I love the comments at the bottom. One is very good post. I often had these issues, blah blah blah. But I think that whole comment was just to plug their website. Put a link to their website.
John, kind of along that same lines, did you see the email I replied to today?
Which one?
We had a company reach out to us at our info email address. It was actually at info for Diego Dev. It's like, hey, I'm reaching out to you about your
staffing needs.
Yeah, Wave PHP conference. You know, we're a staffing company, blah blah blah. And so I replied, yeah, we'd love to have you sponsor. How much money were you thinking?
Must not have replied all because I didn't see that.
I actually BCC'd you on it specifically, yeah, because I wasn't sure if you'd get the reply had I not sent it directly to you. So yeah. So yeah, I assume asking us about staffing needs, and I'm like, yeah, no, you can sponsor us. You want to help us? Yeah, sponsor us.
See, he BCC'd you because he wanted to keep things nice and quiet, as opposed to when he screenshotted our conversation about my wife leaving me and posted it on Twitter.
To be clear, yeah.
My wife is not leaving me. My wife is back home. She went to Colorado for vacation.
Nobody else has seen her. Have we seen her? Where's she at?
The store right now.
She's at the store. She's like 12 o'clock there. The stores aren't open in Colorado. Come on.
I mean,
Thomas?
we call the bar the store.
The sooner you acknowledge the reality, the less painful it will be.
No, she's back. It's wonderful. Somehow her coming home immediately turned into a Photoshop contest on our chat room.
That was fun. Oh man. All right.
Before my wife came home, my mom came out to visit, which
so cute.
Having your mother visit you as an adult in your home is really puts you all the way back to when you were a kid, where your room isn't necessarily clean enough, and is that what you've been eating? And the trash is half full. Why haven't you taken it out? But she
really looks infected.
Nobody wants to see that. She bought my wife and I a new bed, so I'm very grateful for that. We have actual furniture.
Your mom just rolled in and been like, if you're ever going to win her back, son, you need a new bed.
You have to stop living in this squalor.
Time to get rid of those egg carts down there.
Yeah, is that just some random child crying in the corner? You can't have that in your house.
Well, maybe she'll get back and actually see the new furniture, Thomas. Good luck with that.
That's nice. It's talking with your parents as an adult is always just so disorienting.
That's why I just don't talk to them. Makes it easier.
You have them on Facebook. I don't have my parents on Facebook.
So I stumbled on a new fun thing. What, John? Did you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, go ahead and talk about your fun new thing.
Okay.
Yeah, you haven't stumbled much on the podcast lately. Let's get to it.
Yeah, I stumbled. I'm always the early adopter. I'm always out there trying the bleeding edge stuff, and this was one of those that it was like when I was doing it, I'm like, wow, this actually answers a lot of potential issues we could have. But we have a client who's really big in AWS, and so we're always looking at the different AWS services, mainly as a service, right? So we don't look very much at like client tools that they have. But this one had caught my eye. I'm like, let me give this a shot. And I fired up a Amazon Workspace, which if you don't know what a workspace is, it's like a desktop. It's a virtual desktop. And they've had Windows for a while. And I think the thing that caught my eye was that they were offering a Linux desktop as well. And that's where I'd seen it, the email come in. I'm like, let me check this out. So I go and fire up this Linux virtual desktop. And I've worked with these in the past. When I was at in the enterprise, I worked for a manager who was absolutely passionate about virtual desktops. He thought it was the answer to everybody's desktop needs. And the experience was horrible. I mean, it was so unusable, so slow, just a bad experience across the board. So when I saw this AWS service, I'm like, whatever. I'll fire one up. They have a free tier, so I went ahead and fired one up. And man, I'm not going to freaking lie, it is pretty damn impressive. Now, granted, I'm on a big pipe here at my house. I pay for the top tier of residential internet speeds. So I'll acknowledge that. I probably should test this when I'm not on such a good internet. But my experience was very promising. And especially as the owner of a company who has a bunch of consultants. And those consultants, since we don't supply their hardware, the quality of hardware, the usability of hardware is, can be questionable. They can have issues with their laptops or, whatever the condition is. Some people might have Windows, some people might have Mac, some people might use Linux, which is something, we actually contend with today. And when I saw my experience just using this absolute lowest level entry free tier of the workspace, I'm like, damn. And I was only using it on my Mac, but they have clients for the Chromebook, they have clients for Android, they have clients for the iPad. And I'm like, well, let me try it on the iPad. Different experience, obviously, because you don't have a mouse. So it has this little tutorial on how you do all the different mouse gestures, but still very usable. And the idea of having a full-fledged desktop that I could call up from my iPad is also extremely appealing. It was Mint OS. I didn't even take the time to look if there were variations of the desktop, whether there was say a straight Ubuntu or anything. The free tier that I fired up was a Mint OS desktop, but I mean Mint is a very established desktop, and so like PHP Storm runs on it. You know, a lot of the tools we use, I believe Visual Source Code runs on it. So yeah, I tell you what, man, anybody out there, maybe you're rocking a Chromebook, you're trying to get some development work done, look into Amazon Workspaces. They are not sponsoring the show, regardless of how it sounds. Excuse me, but we've said for a while that the desktop is going away, and I think it really has going away. I think we are a unique crowd. We are the developers. So for us to lose a desktop will have to be a pretty big paradigm shift. But I could definitely see leaving the house easier with just an iPad now. If I had access to these a workspace that I could always pull up, or even a Chromebook. I mentioned on the previous shows how happy I was with the Chromebook I just recently purchased for my daughter. Being able to walk around with that, because everything is remote, it doesn't impact your battery life. So, you know, with a Chromebook, you're looking at, 8 hours, 12-hour battery life, and you have a desktop there. Yeah, it's appealing, man. Very appealing. It would definitely never. Well, I wouldn't say never. It's definitely not close to being my primary driver, but having it there as a backup, man, I tell you what, it would have made a big difference. For example, when we were down and when we went to Longhorn in Austin, and I had lost my laptop, to be able to pull up a alternative desktop and still have all my tools and continue working.
That'd be probably really hard to keep that in sync, though, if you don't use it often.
But if all you have is your development stuff, you have Postman, you have PHP Storm, and you're doing everything through Git repos. Not really. I don't see it being that difficult. Maybe hook up a little Dropbox to it. Yeah,
be interesting.
I think again, alternative, go to, but. I see, and we talk. I mentioned having contractors. I mean, being able to establish desktops for the contractors, regardless of the hardware they bring to the table, and then, when they spin down, being able to destroy those desktops. Yeah, that's another appealing aspect of it.
Good point. Something to think about.
Mm-hmm. All right.
That means it's time to wrap up.
I think
over an hour.
I think I agree with you on the idea of the desktop sort of dwindling, but I don't know.
Not for gamers. Gamers need it.
Yeah, that's the thing for me, is that gamers still need it, and the ecosystem for gamers is still so
brought a full
stronger.
circle back to games.
Full circle.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where that kind of stuff goes. Although, I mean, a laptop it's nice to have the power under the belt.
Yeah, I don't see me giving up a laptop ever. I mean, a full desktop you need to ever, really. I just don't.
All right, well, this has been fun. You've been listening to episode 112.
Oh no, you don't get to just cut doom and gloom out. And I'm
John Congdon.
I am so proud to say
Eric
that
Van
Doom and Gloom this week
Keep it
is
ugly.
brought to us by our very own Eric Van Johnson.
What? What did I do?
Gentoo.
Oh, Gentoo. Oh, poor Gentoo. Did you see SUSE got purchased again?
SUSE got purchased for $3.3 billion.
still in the billions. I mean, who's using that and still, I mean, still retaining that value.
Even bigger question than that is, do you know how many employees they have?
Well, not anymore, right? I mean, that when Novell, died, that really kind of took all the official employees away, didn't it?
14,000 employees.
What?
That's for SUSE.
That's crazy.
I don't know where that number comes from. I saw it.
1,000? That's nuts. I think you have a condition, Thomas, where you add zeros to numbers or something.
Oh, I apologize. 2.5 billion.
2.5 billion. Yeah, I think if my numbers are correctly,
I've been really mathematically challenged this episode.
Yeah, if my numbers are correctly, like the first time they were sold, it was like for 250 million, and the Novell purchased them for 2.2 billion. And they held like that 2.2, 2.6 billion price tag for the next couple of cells. And yeah, now they're still right around that same price tag. But it was like, that just seems insane to me, an insane amount of money. But that's not that's not what you want to talk about. You want to talk about a Linux distribution that actually got compromised.
This is the best part about it. I'm not going to talk about it. This is your article, and I would never deign to steal an article from you.
Dang.
Oh, well, you're going to be disappointed then, because the reason I actually posted this article, so yes, Gentoo GitHub repo, I guess some code exploits got merged into the official release of Gentoo, right? So that happened. I mean, there's no two ways about that. This is the big fear. This was a big deal. Trust me, if Microsoft wasn't so open source loving right now, they would be the first one plastering this article across the tubes about how open source is just full of hackers and stuff. The whole reason I kind of even added this to my board is that I always find it so comical when these sort of things happen. Now, granted, this was well, not even a mainstream distribution, but this was a distribution of an OS where this happened to. So it's a pretty big deal that it happened. The fact that it got caught was because it was open source as well. So the fact that the thing got resolved was open source. But the whole idea of this concept that people have that this only happens in open source is ridiculous to me. It's like, no, this happens in closed source all the time. Matter of fact, in closed source, it's not even considering hacking. The company will just put exploited code in their product base. You just don't know it's there because you don't have visibility to it. It's just, I mean, that was kind of the conversation I was going to have, and I don't really want to get into all that right now. We're already over, but yeah, we'll add this to the show notes. I don't really think it's as dramatic as people seem to want to play it. And this was back a couple weeks ago. The story didn't catch that much momentum. Yeah, I was trying to get ahead of it before we had recorded our last show, I think, and we ended up not recording. So, and it's kind of fizzled out since then. But I had kind of anticipated people making a big deal out of this, but really nobody actually did.
Well, it's an interesting target because have you guys ever used Gentoo?
No. That's one of the distributions I've never used, actually.
I installed Gentoo and I did a stage 1 install, which is you only get source code install. Mm-hmm. No binaries or executables of any kind. You boot off of a disk and from scratch compile the kernel and then install the kernel onto the system. And it's a really, really fascinating process that took me several days to install.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that.
You learn a lot about Linux and about operating systems core functionality because It doesn't say, do you want to install Grub or whatever boot manager. It says, read the instructions. Here are your options. There are also other options. Pick the one you want. And here's how you pick it, and here's how you define it in your configs, and here's where it matters. And it's a crazy process. But it's experts only. I mean, this is a distribution that basically only the most well-informed and capable Linux gurus use. So targeting them is interesting because they would be the fastest OS to catch a breach of this nature.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's they still don't know what was done, I guess. They don't know why it was compromised. It just looks like their GitHub repository was compromised, and that's all they really know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. I'm with John this time. I think we wrap this up at this point.
Oh. I mean, I could go for another hour. That's only because I'm not editing it this week.
We can give you the floor and let you keep going.
Is John editing this week? Because I'm not gonna be able to edit this week.
Have you? John's never edited.
He's never edited PHP Ugly. He has edited our other podcast before. Yeah, I actually have to do a talk next week at SDPHP because we didn't schedule a talk, and John hit me at a really low point, and he's like, "You know what would make you feel better? Do a talk." So
he's wily.
I'm actually doing I'm doing a NoSQL talk at SDPHP next week. If anybody's interested, if you're in San Diego, first thing, make sure you join SDPHP on meetup.com. But come join us and watch me ramble about NoSQL and the cool things it does and why I still don't use it every day.
That's a more important one.
Yeah, I'll be there just playing back clips from previous podcasts where Eric says NoSQL seems stupid and I don't get why you'd want to use it.
If you happen to live in an area that has a PHP user group where your presenter or your organizer is a presenter at Wave PHP, then you should be able to secretly ask them for Wave PHP stickers. I've sent Wave PHP stickers to Austin PHP, to Peak PHP, to Denver PHP, all of whose organizers will be speaking at Wave PHP.
Excellent.
So they all have Wave PHP stickers now to pass out to people. So
I don't even have Wave PHP stickers.
Yes, you do, you liar. I gave you Wave PHP stickers, didn't I?
Yeah.
So I will get my sticker by I will get my sticker by attending a local meetup instead of due to the fact that two of my best friends are the ones running the
That's
event.
exactly why I didn't send them to you, Thomas.
Save the postage. Get them from...
All right. So cool. So make sure you attend your local meetup and get a Wave PHP sticker, and then make sure you attend Wave PHP. And that seems like a good spot to end the show. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Sounds fantastic.
All right. I'm Eric Van Johnson. You've been listening to episode 112 of PHP Ugly. Thank you. We know your time is valuable. We hope we added to your day.
And we know their time is not valuable. They've been listening to our podcast.
You've been on a flight lately, haven't you? I'm John Congdon. Thanks for listening.
I'm Tom Rideout. Doom.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly. All right, I'm turning off recording as fast as I can. Done.
Done. All right, who's editing this week?
D-Live that. Take us off the air.